Alright, YouTube pyro fans, I'm going to show you a little trick today. Something you can do to really reduce your strain and fatigue when you're out in the field setting up a show, especially if you're older like I am. But first, I'm going to show something I've already shown before. Just revisit this real quick. I've talked about this on more than one occasion. I make up these reusable extension wires to connect my modules to my products. In this case today, I've made an Amazon box. It's a proxy for a cake. We'll use that in a few minutes. But anyway, I just wanted to re-show this again for the umpteenth time. I take some 22 gauge stranded speaker wire and I put a couple alligator clips on one end, and then I strip back and tin the ends on the other end. These ends go in the module. The alligator clips clip on to the igniter. You can use these wires over and over and over again. Make them as long as you want. I make mine about 15 feet long. This gets the product spread out well away from the module. It's limp, it coils up easy. You can store it between shoots. I've made up probably over 100 of these to use. Now, I'm going to turn off the camera. We're going to set up and show you the actual topic of today's video. Alright, here's the main topic of the video today. When you're doing your show setups, you're always out in the field down on the ground. You're down on the ground on your hands and knees, dropping cues into your modules. You're down like this all day long. You gotta wear knee pads. If you're older than 45 years old and you need reading glasses, or if you're nearsighted, there's different kinds of visual problems you have seeing what you're doing. And it gets really tiresome working down here like a migrant worker. So I was thinking, how can I get my modules up off the ground in a cheap, lightweight, compact, easy to transport fashion? You could use sawhorses, you could use chairs, you could use, I mean, there's so many things you could use to try to get your module up. But I wanted something that's affordable, lightweight, and compact and easy to transport. So I came up with this trick. I'm using a cheap $21 aluminum tripod that I got from Amazon. These tripods have a little plate that you mount to the camera, and then you mount the camera and the plate onto the top of the tripod. So what I did was I took that plate and I glued it to the bottom of my Cobra module. Now I've got another plate here in my pocket. It's not exactly the same brand as this one, but I'm going to bring it out here and show it to you. You have to modify this plate a little bit. The plate comes with a little pin to help locate it in a recess in the bottom of the camera, and also there's a screw here that you screw into the camera, and you need to remove these things in order to be able to glue this onto the bottom of the Cobra. So to get out that spring pin, you just flip this over, and depending on the design of the plate, you might be able to unscrew it or drill it out, whatever it takes. Some of these plates, this screw is captive, and if it's captive, I just flipped it over and banged it out with a drift and a hammer. If you can unscrew it, then just unscrew it. But the bottom line is you want to get the bottom of this plate, or I guess you'd say at the top of this plate, flat without any protrusions, so it'll glue up properly to the bottom of your Cobra module. Let's take this one off and show it. So there's the plate. I removed the spring pin and the screw. I glued it onto the bottom of the case here with some E6000. It's a really good glue. And in fact, with that center hole, if I wanted to, I could actually drill through the bottom of the Cobra case and put a bolt and a nut there to really secure that better if I want to. Now you've got your module up here high where it's easy to work on. You're not bending over, you're standing straight up. You can see what you're doing. It's really easy to drop your cues. When you're done setting it up, if you want to, you can lower it. But while you're setting it up, you're working at a nice height here, a little bit above waist high. Makes it real simple to work on. I'll take the camera off the tripod here and go out laterally and show the how I work this out. I'll come around the other side and get my shadow out of the picture. But this shows the distance from the module to the cake with that 15-foot extension wire. So you can get all your product out away from your module. You got your reusable wire that you can use over and over, connecting the product to the module. I've got the module up high on the tripod. Makes it easy to work with. Don't have to bend over. You can use other things to get your module up off the ground. I had some of these tables I got at Home Depot. They're $40, but they're a little bigger, a little bulkier, a little heavier, a little more space to transport. It works fine if you've got them already. But this tripod folds up real small and compact. Takes up very little space in transport in your truck or your trailer, SUV, van, whatever you use to get your product out to the field. This particular model I got at Amazon. It's a Ravelli APLT4. It's really cheap. It's not super durable. You can't bang it around. But I think it's perfect for this purpose. So if you want to get up off your knees, get up off the ground, save your back, make it easy on your eyes, you can mount these, mount your modules up on a tripod. Might want to try my 15-foot extension wire trick. Get your product out away from the module. This makes life a lot easier out in the field during setup. Alright, I'm going to add a few points about using these tripods and make a few comments about these ball heads. If you're a photographer, you know this already. This particular type of tripod has what's called an Arca Swiss ball head. And lots of different companies make these ball heads, and they all use a standardized plate that'll fit into any ball head that uses the Arca Swiss specification. So that's a universal plate. But any ball head that you get that will accept an Arca Swiss plate is very expensive. And if you want to use these expensive tripods with Arca Swiss ball heads so you can use this universal mounting plate, you certainly can do so, and you're going to pay for it. Now, these other tripods that are much cheaper don't use the Arca Swiss system. They all have their own proprietary plates that they use that are very different from Arca Swiss. And these are not standardized like these are. So if you have a bunch of modules and you get a bunch of different tripods from a bunch of different manufacturers, all the plates are going to be different, and you're going to have to mate each individual module to each individual tripod based on the kind of plate that it uses. So if you want to do this thing and you want to use cheap tripods instead of expensive Arca Swiss ball heads, get your tripods all the same so that they all use the same mounting plate. That way you can mount any module on any tripod because they're all from the same manufacturer. They all use the exact same plate. But if you use cheap tripods across different manufacturers, they use different proprietary plates, you won't be able to put any module on any tripod. So stick with one model, one brand, get a bunch of the same exact tripod. They'll all use exactly the same plate, and you won't have to worry about matching one particular module to one particular tripod. One more comment I'll make about why I picked this particular tripod. As I said, it's cheap, it's light, it's compact, it's easily portable. Not all tripods have this. That's a little hook so you can hang a weight. You know, you might be thinking, I don't know if I want to put my module up on a tripod, maybe the wind will blow it over. You know, if the wind's blowing that high, you may or may not want to shoot, but that's a separate issue. But if you want to stabilize your tripod, a lot of tripods come with a hook, and you can hang a heavy weight there. So that's another reason I picked this particular cheap tripod amongst all the other cheap tripods, because they don't all have a hook. And if you want to hang a heavy weight there to stabilize that tripod in the wind, this particular tripod I picked because of that. I think I'll add this, just so happens it's blowing pretty hard right now. There's a good stiff wind blowing here this morning, and that tripod hasn't budged all morning long. It's been sitting out here in the front yard for several hours and it hasn't moved. Here's the size of this thing folded up. It's pretty small, extremely lightweight. This particular one has a carrying handle. Unnecessary, but nice. So with the carrying handle, the little weight hook, $21. Doesn't take up much space. I think that's a great deal.